Emerson.
Okay.
He's an
Oh
anesthesiologist.
yeah, he's a fast client. Do you hear
You
stuff?
may have met him in the past.
Okay.
He was on our policy advisory council for a long time.
Okay.
He owns part of Oklahoma Surgical Hospital.
Okay. Good. We
He's
need.
got 9 kids. 3 of them are Boy Scouts, or are Eagle Scouts.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to meet him.
Yeah, homeschools them, and then he's got some that gone private, some gone public.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I can't believe our district's represented by who it is.
Yeah, we're going to change that.
Yeah, we are.
It means the old guard is going to come out and fix it, but we're making waves.
Okay, good. Good to hear.
All right. Good. This is decent audio.
Yeah, 2 years probably not.
Well,
Okay, we're good.
I really love my time there, but it came time when I need to go home.
Hey Tim, I can't hear anything in my headphones.
So I had a choice. I could run for Congress or come home and take care of my kids.
Yeah,
My kids.
I just changed.
I
just changed
me
plugs.
about it a while back, and I thought I just can't devote that much time. I mean, really? I mean, these got kids.
Okay.
That's a long time away.
It's a long time away.
You're in charge. Okay. That stays on all the time.
I got enough on my plate all the time anyway.
Okay.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs?
Ready? Okay.
No worries, but
Come over here. You're in charge. Okay. Danger today. I need tissues. Would you go get me some tissues?
For real?
Really? I have come down with something. That's why I took a nap yesterday, and I woke up so groggy.
I'll go get them.
I'm just really, and there used to be a box here.
Oh, I don't mind anything. I saw all day. Hi, I'm Sabrina.
Hi, Sabrina, I'm Mace. Nice to meet you.
This way I can get a solid look at Daryl.
Surf pro? No,
Am I still in your shot?
I can't hear things.
Am I still in the shot?
Yeah. Okay. Mace, what's your last name?
Ward, W-A-R-D.
Okay.
And another is at Faith Church, 1901 West 171st Street in Glenpool. Misplaced pets can be taken to the temporary shelter at the south entrance of Tulsa Expo.
Sabrina, have you guys been staying busy?
From 8
Yeah,
a.m.
pretty
until 8
busy,
p.m.
for sure.
The fairground shelter is also accepting
Yeah.
pet food.
Actually,
blankets,
Daryl,
and
there's not
towels.
even
For larger
enough
animal shelter
headphones. I
requests,
might,
please
since I've got
contact
buyers that I'm
211.
meeting with, I might just
Residents in
go
Tulsa
unless
County
you need
with
me.
questions or
Looks like you're
concerns
full.
related to this flooding event
Yeah, I
or
need you.
evacuations can also call 211.
We always need you.
You think you're dispensable?
Hey, do you have something specific you're talking about?
I'm going to talk about stewardship and make sure you stay inside your budget and understand what pre-approval means, even though we're in a market where houses below 200,000 are selling pretty fast. Not to get caught up in this idea of buying more than you can afford.
Yeah. I have a question about like gifts, like the
It is
limited
hot in
purpose
here.
things.
Yeah,
Are you hot?
I would kind of
totally.
know
They can
about
play.
that.
Maybe I've got a
They can
fever.
fold right into it.
Okay.
Don't touch anything I've touched.
All right.
Is it on how much somebody can give, or is it
Yeah,
on?
like gifting, the rules for gifting, how that kind of works. You know, I know that people can do it, but you know, to what extent does it have to be a family member, that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of IRS stuff we can talk about inside there too,
Okay.
on what the limits are for before it becomes a taxable gift.
Yeah. That's great information.
I did not.
Thank you so much.
Just a bottle of water make you feel like grab, or is it clear out there in the commons?
You know,
I don't
sometimes
know.
it's hard
Half this water's out in the. Hey Daryl, where are the?
It's fine.
20% chance of showers tomorrow.
Well, I just plugged it in over here. It was saying TV news coming in here, and I couldn't get the selection to change. Yeah,
What do you need, water?
but I can hear now. I couldn't get it to come through here. How do you change that? Do I need to press the take button?
Oh yeah, you need to
Thank you.
hit your set button down here so it
Okay.
turns on. Then you should be able to change.
Okay.
Where'd it go?
Fake. There you go. All right. Okay, that's perfect.
Get sound?
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, you're almost on.
Are we there yet?
Can we delay?
Okay.
Hey, that's your cue.
Hillary, what is your topic?
Hello, Kula.
How low is too low? Oh.
I know you like how I title everything.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Future of Real Estate on News Talk, KRMG. Daryl Baskin,
I do.
Tulsa's leading real estate
You take extra time to come up with a great topic.
insights on buying and selling homes. Plus, you'll hear from interesting guests on maintaining and improving the home you have now.
Don, would you drop your seat just this much?
If you want.
I'm good.
That's good.
The future of real estate.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. I'm Daryl Baskin of the Baskin Real Estate Specialists at eXp Realty. Today's program brought to you by TTCU Federal Credit Union, Integrity Title and Abstract, Window World of Tulsa, and the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. In studio, we have a full house because there's lots of good stuff to talk about, and some of it's not such great stuff. Actually, we'll talk about flooding. Mace Ward of ServPro of South Tulsa County.
Yes, that's it.
He'll be with us here, telling us how to mitigate, how to respond when you've got water in your house. A lot of people are going to be needing that information about now and coming up later in the week. Sabrina Shaw, Baskin Real Estate Specialist, assessed value. What's it
Although-
really worth?
We might talk about flooding too. I mean, I know we're going to talk about that, but I might change my topic.
Okay, well, you're allowed. Hillary Odell, how low is too low? Obviously, we're not talking about water level there. It must have something to do with pricing. And my friend, Don Burdick, with Irish Fest. That's not, that's not like your full-time occupation.
No.
You have created this thing that has grown every year. Tell us about it and what's behind it, who's involved, when it is.
Sure. So we just completed year 2. 2 years ago, September 2017, after coming back from Kansas City's Irish Festival, my wife and I had gone 6 years in a row, and I came back and went, why doesn't Tulsa have one of these? And the thinking was not a green beer outdoor meat market. This is the family-friendly, mom and dad with the kids, cultural focus, authentic. So why don't we have something like that? So not ever having done anything like it before, I thought, well, I'll start by calling a band. So I called an agent. One thing led to another. I got some bands lined up and then found out about the guy who runs Oktoberfest here in town, a guy named Ryan Howell. Reached out to him, said, would you be my logistics guy? And in a period of a few months, we were off and running with the Irish Festival idea.
Interesting. The creation of a new festival.
Truly, and it really thought that I knew I was tired of going to the big beer bashes. I got nothing against them, but I'd sort of outgrown that. Wanted something different. Wondered if Tulsa was hungry for something like that. So this was truly an experiment. So in December of 2017, my concept was maybe 500 to 1,000 people will come. We ended up doing it at the Guthrie Green.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And thought, if we have 500 to 1,000, we've got a success. We have some good music, and my vision was mom and dad sitting on a blanket with the kids dancing, and having some nice culture. Our food trucks, frankly, we didn't have Irish food trucks available yet, so we went to a number of the good food trucks, like a taco truck and whatever, and said, look, do some Irish fusion.
Tacos?
Yes, whatever. I mean, corned beef and on a taco, create, do whatever.
Put some green sauce on it.
Put something green on it, whatever. But we're in this inventive phase. And then the only advertising was on Facebook. So I just created a Facebook page in December, said Tulsa's family-friendly way to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Go. So 10 people like it, 20 people like it. And then I started seeing particularly moms, 75% of my audience, because Facebook lets you track that, were women. And they were like, Rachel, get Janet and the kids. This looks like our kind of festival. Let's go. So I started seeing this 10 days before the event, 16,000 people said they were coming.
Wow.
So I was a little freaked out. So I went, Ryan, do we have enough porta potties?
Yeah.
You know, how's this going to work? He said, Don, relax. I've seen this before. That kind of a saying they're coming on Facebook, you'll probably get 2,000. We're going to be fine. Well, weather was perfect, and we had, as I said, 8,500 people was our estimate for the day. It was a one-day event. It was, I'll tell you, there's one scene that encapsulates the festival for me. I had a band called Cleghorn. They've been in Tulsa before. Their young fiddle player and bagpipe player, he's a 30-something, forgive my reference here, I'm going to call him Cougar Bait. I mean, he is a good-looking kid. And so he's got a big smile. He's a charming guy. He's out playing his fiddle, and there's this little 4-year-old girl just dancing. And he leans over to her as he's playing and bends down, and she's staring up at him with big goo-goo eyes. He leans the fiddle close so she can see it. She reaches up like she wants to grab it. He pulls away gently and then says, okay, now he's back to playing. She turns around, looks at her mom and dad, and just runs back and jumps in her daddy's arms. That's what this festival was, a fun little event.
That's a great story, and I see what you mean. It encapsulates what really what you have these festivals for,
Yes.
what families want to enjoy, and it just, the story of how it was created is really interesting because many of us just don't know what's the origin of some of the
Right.
things that we have on an annual basis here today.
One madman's idea, that's
And
all it was.
The next year you said you had 12,000.
We did. So that
That
was
was
this
last
year.
year.
This
Or
year.
this year,
So
sorry.
2019. So I after the 2018 success, went to a 2-day festival. Still one stage. Still Guthrie Green. Brought in a band from Ireland, a band from Scotland, a band from Nova Scotia, and our Cleghorn buddies who were so charming before. Come on back, guys. So we had them for a second year. Our audience grew. Our vendors. So we really try to focus that our vendors are as authentic as they can be. And so again, we had great weather. It worked out. And 2020, we're going to do it again. I've already lined up my bands.
I'm glad that we're talking about it now because this is when you begin to. There are many annual events that you put them on your calendar. I want to save the date. Do you have
Yes.
the date yet?
March 13th and 14th, 2020, Guthrie Green again. So it'll be Friday afternoon into the evening. So we're a 3 to 8 on the Friday, noon to 8 on Saturday. So we close in time for folks to, it's the family-friendly festival, so we don't run to midnight.
Yeah. Well, thanks for putting that together. Thanks for making Tulsa a better place with that festival. It's Tulsa Irish Fest. Where do you find it online?
TulsaIrishFest.com.org, and we've got a Facebook page. I think we have Twitter.
Wait
I
a
don't
minute.
Tweet, but
TulsaIrishFest.com and .org. You have both of them?
got
Okay.
them both.
Okay.
Got them both. And
Smart.
Yep. So plug in, like us on Facebook, and you can keep up with everything.
Don Burdick with Tulsa Irish Fest. Thank you, Don. Yeah, you're listening to the Future of Real Estate, Tulsa source for local real estate news and information. Coming up, Mace Ward, how to prepare, how to survive, keep your property damaged at a minimum if you're experiencing floodwaters in your home or business. On the Future of Real Estate right after this. Okay, there we go.
All right.
All right.
Now I get to
My
do that
pleasure.
down
Yeah,
with the
I'm
show.
not shaking hands.
Okay, if you're sick, yeah.
I-
No, thanks for
Talk
about this beautiful moment at the Irish Fest.
Oh,
by the way, your house is flooded.
Talk again, things are approaching.
But me and people
I'd be happy to do it if
We're going to the restroom there.
Yeah, I'd like that. Look for an invitation. I'll probably send it out in 6 months.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, Dan, where are you going?
Take it to the restroom.
Oh, okay.
Is that
It's like we haven't had your segment yet.
All right, buddy, see you.
Okay, thank you,
It's
Don.
good to meet you.
All right, you too.
Okay. You're in charge of mixing those up, okay?
Right into it. Okay.
What? Somebody will be on that. We'll bring Dan back here.
I was gonna say you can all
Can
get
you
on a
all
mic.
slide?
We can even move out 6 and everybody can be on a mic. We can do that. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Slide over here for me because I don't have the cameras over there. Or actually, wait a minute.
where do you want me?
Over here, you're on this camera.
Yep.
Right here.
Where you want me? Right
Hey,
here?
you just
That's fine right there.
Oh, okay. I thought you were asking me.
You want to go ahead and use 6? We'll let you use 6. Not a problem.
I guess that's where he wants me. Right here?
Yeah.
You want to sit or stand?
I tell you, for camera
that's fine.
purposes, would you
So
move
yeah,
over
you're
there?
good with that. You got the mic. All right. I'll get him to pump up 6.
And so we're going to use 5 also. Are you grumpy?
Not in the best mood today.
Is there something we can do to make it better?
No. Unless you, never mind.
I don't want to know. I do not want to know. Okay, slide over just a little bit.
To the right or to the left? To my right or to my left?
You're fine. You're in the center. You two slide in just a tiny bit.
Hey, when I say how low is too low, I'm not talking about pricing your home.
Okay.
I'm talking about...
Well, don't tell me. Let it be a surprise. I want it to be a surprise.
That means I
Feel
have
it
to...
already.
Okay, fine. That means I have to introduce it.
Yep.
I gotta think for a second. Do me last, okay? Like, at 1:58, start my segment.
By the way,
158 is when we're out, I think.
I know.
by the way, to all my Facebook viewers, I hate this commercial, and I just haven't changed it. So I'm going to spare you. I'll show you different.
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
She designed the dress, but can she budget for her future?
I'm not ready yet, but I want to be.
Help her get 100% ready.
One address, thousands of homes, homeguidetulsa.com.
Thousands of homes.
One address,
One
thousands
address,
of homes.
there it is.
How about 204 South Hominy? This. And you can find that at Baskin Real Estate Specialists or Daryl Baskin on Facebook. Joined today by sponsor, TTCU Federal Credit Union, Dan Newberry. I think after the break, we'll talk about stewardship. You know, that sounds like something that we talk about at church.
Well, it does sound like something you talk about at church, but it's something that really we should all use to guide our lives with, and how we appropriate our dollars and what we're doing with our budgets and how we're making things work. So it's looking forward to having that discussion.
All right, well, first, we're going to talk all this flooding going on. Mace Ward with ServPro of South Tulsa County, and this is devastating for a lot of people. We haven't had a flood like this in a very long time.
Absolutely.
And there's water running in your business, your property somewhere. What do you need to do first thing to mitigate, to not have more issues than what you should?
Well, one of the important things is to remember is this is considered Category 3 water. I mean, it's full of bacteria and everything else, and that's so if you're insured, can get professional help out there. Do that first. Have them take a look at it. It's
when you say this is Category 3, you say Category 3 water?
Yes, sir.
So you say it's full of bacteria.
Yes.
So that bacteria is coming from where?
Well, it's the river. And we just saw what we just saw at Weber's Falls. I mean, we don't know what happened north of us. So I mean, all that's coming down through there. So we don't know what's in that river, and now it's in your house.
Right, and that Weber Falls, that you're talking about the barges that were full of all the fertilizer and other.
Yeah, now it's in your house.
That's great stuff.
Okay, yeah, keep that in mind. Okay, and so that's why you
don't swim in this. Is what you're saying.
Exactly. I saw a video of somebody swimming in it today, and it made me sick.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
We're talking about gross, but it's actually dangerous.
Right. Think about electricity too. I mean, it's just dangerous. Stay out of it. But anyway, once it does recede, now you got a house that's soaked. No telling how long it's taken. So now the water is wicking up your sheetrock. Okay, it's sheetrock's like a sponge. It's just going to keep moving. So we want to get that cut out and everything stabilized just as soon as possible. And everything's got to go. I mean, I know nobody wants to hear that, but it's the truth. I mean,
what about like the 2x4 studs, right? So you take off the sheetrock and you got insulation that comes out, you have electrical behind it, but what about like the studs themselves?
What we always do is we take out that sheetrock, whether it be a 2-foot flood cut, 4-foot, depending on how long it's been setting there, right? We take out the insulation because that's absorbed everything. But we can antimicrobial everything from there on out to the outside sheeting to the studs you're talking about.
Is that like kilting it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you can find antimicrobial in Walmart or Lowe's or anything like that.
But it does need to be treated. So
it does need to be treated.
You cut that out,
yes,
and you're literally rebuilding the bottom part of the house.
That's correct.
Now, if you don't take care of this quickly, and the house stays closed up, it's getting hot.
It's getting hot.
It's now got water in there. Now you've got serious mold issues, and it becomes an enormous problem. Not just rebuilding or replacing the bottom part of my house. It has gotten into all parts of the ducting system.
Right. Yeah, duct cleaning after an issue like this is very important as well.
So is
what
that
about if
mandatory?
water is like in your crawl space? Like if there's water sitting in the crawl space from.
You're going to have to get that out as well. You can sump pumps and things like that. Get it out. It'll eventually absorb into the ground. But right now we're so saturated, it's going to take a long time. So you want to get that out before you start any kind of rebuild process. Because if you put hardwoods on top of, say you put hardwoods down, well, you still got water under your crawl space. Guess what? It's going to be humid like crazy down there.
And they're going to that's going to buckle your floors.
Your floors are going to buckle up. Your brand new floors that you just
But
put
make
in.
sure you don't have the fly-by-night company who goes in, makes it look good now. They don't put the proper vapor barrier in, or some of the things that are really critical to having a proper finished product. Otherwise, you're going to deal with it a year, 2 years from now.
That's very important. I mean, in a deal like we're dealing with right now, you're going to have fly-by-nights coming in from everywhere. They're going to slap a magnet on their truck and they're going to be there, and they may do a good job. They may not. They may be insured. They may not. I don't know. Company like ours, we're not going to run out of. We're not going to be at capacity because we've already brought people in from Houston and Colorado, and
other network members.
Other network members. I mean, when you call our office at Serpro, we're going to have people to run out there and be there.
My family, my parents they worked for an insurance company, and there's a disaster in an area, then people would relocate. They would be there for 2-3 months, whatever, doing emergency storm duty. But it was all under that umbrella of the company that people trusted,
right?
And you knew that name, and there was a connection there. It wasn't just the magnet on the side of the car.
Exactly. Everybody recognizes our brand, and there are other local companies that are great too. But we're going to be recognizable, and we're going to be there, and we're going to be able to depend on us, and we can bring it back to pre-loss condition for you.
Now, we're spending a lot of time on this, but this is where I see people being taken advantage of the most, because you don't have a place to live.
Right.
We're very trusting people, and especially our elderly. It seems to be they seem to be the biggest target. And how do you verify that this is a good person to work with? Not just.
I would make sure you call one of your local companies. Like I was saying, we have people here that we can direct to your place. They may be from Colorado or Houston, but I'm going to direct them out there, and I know I've already verified them. And I think that's important. There's going to be also people that aren't insured in this thing.
So talk to us a little bit about what that means. What does that mean if somebody's not insured?
Well, you're kind of hung out to dry in the thing, and so if people start looking at money, there's some big houses that are right there borderline about to get completely messed up. And these are $500,000 houses, and so they're going to think, well, maybe I can just do this myself. Okay, well now you're dealing with a bad situation there, and you need to get a professional advice at a very minimum.
Well, Mace, what we're concerned about, and one of the reasons besides just helping people with good information, what we're concerned about is selling a house after it's been flooded. If there's not proper documentation that shows that it was treated with antimicrobial treatment, that mold is not an issue, if there's not documentation from professionals, and you're disclosing that it was that was flooded, we have a resale problem. The value of your property without that showing that it had been flooded is severely diminished.
Absolutely, and what we would recommend in that, and we always recommend that any kind of times not flooding, just sewage and things like that, where Category 3 water is in your house, we always recommend a hygienist. Bring a hygienist in, third-party hygienist. You call them, bring them out. I mean, they're $150, $200 for them to come out, and then they'll take as many tape samples as you want in every room that was affected, and they'll tell you if there's bacteria still in there, and then have them come back in and clean. It's very important to make sure all that bacteria is out of your house before you start rebuilding.
And that's so important for homeowners right now and for in the future when they're selling to have that, because you want to keep your family safe and you want to protect them from those
that's very important.
Yes, from the germs, but to be able to have that documentation in the future.
We did a show in the past with a mold expert who travels all over the country, does those tests, and one of the things to really avoid right now is the hysteria. This is what can actually, the reverse of what we're talking about being careful, can be a hyper careful that becomes a hysteria that mold, I'm going to have to burn my house down, I'm going to die. That is not the better path to take. Mold occurs because it's being fed by moisture, and so just the proper treatment, drying it out, getting professionals who understand what's going on, and if you need, get a second opinion. Don't have the wool pulled over your eyes. Don't buy into hysteria that is going to make you literally, people lose their hair from the stress and the anxiety of what is happening here at their home and things that they've been told or they read something online. Sure, it can get bad, but the chances of it getting really bad when you're doing the right things are almost zero, because mold has to have moisture to grow. I want to give your telephone number. We've got to take a break. Mace,
918-437-2095.
437-2095, and online?
Online, SerproSouthTulsa.com.
Okay. Well, you're listening to The Future of Real Estate. I'm Daryl Baskin. We're going to come back with Sabrina and Hillary with the Baskin Real Estate Specialists, and Dan Newberry, Good Stewardship. It's going to be a good lesson. TTCU Federal Credit Union, right after this. Okay.
Fox News, I'm Joe Giro. Much of the Midwest continues to deal with severe flooding.
I want to be an interpreter for sign language.
Maybe try to be a lawyer.
I would like to run like a little cafe.
Junior Achievement gives young people the skills they need to own their economic success, plan for their future, and make smart academic choices. Our volunteers help students with financial literacy, work readiness, and entrepreneurship.
And it's really helping me understand how it's going to be in the future.
I live in a 100-year-old home. It's a home I fell in love with, and it has so many amazing features. But the one thing it does not have is straight windows. It has windows that are cracked and broken and worn out. I contacted Window World. They came in and put these brand new, amazing, incredibly beautiful windows into my home. From the outside of the house, they match the exterior perfectly. It looks like they've always been here. Now the windows are the jewels in the home. Window World, from the beginning to the end, they met and exceeded every expectation I had. Window World really is simply the best for less.
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
Okay, I stopped by to get sandbags today.
Which
So-
location did you stop by?
The Maybe Center. Do you have that information?
Well, I don't know. Let's see.
There was 3 locations. One of them required you to bring a shovel.
Oh, really?
Well, the ones that maybe 7 they already filled.
Yeah, they're already filled. And I only needed like 8 because I have a door that the flash
I guess
flooding
there's
it
only
won't.
one place at
It backs up to the door, can run into my.
So
It's
what-
because of the gophers. They chewed through. They blocked my drains. I'm gonna have to dig it out, I think.
Why did you need sandbags? Because of the
I was just telling that, and you weren't
Because of the
paying attention. You don't deserve to know.
How will the sandbags help? I mean, is that something that can be done for people?
That's how you build levees
To where it doesn't
to
come in there.
block it. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I just said.
You started to say you got into the book, and then.
Oh, I don't even know what happened. It is sitting on my safe.
He told me he
a
fell
side
asleep.
table. No, that was
It was
before.
that powerful. It was moving and put you to sleep.
I did
That's
fall
what
asleep,
recall.
but it was due to other reasons.
Is it on Audible?
Not yet. We're actually going to start next week cutting the Audible version of it.
You're
Really?
awesome.
Wait, what?
Good.
Wait, what am I missing? You guys
I wrote
have
a book.
You wrote a book?
Yeah, it just came out called The Rich Young Ruler.
Oh, that's cool.
It's about game.
By the bell, or whatever we're going to call it,
You
that
were
we're
just
talking about.
You were just about.
Saved by the on air.
Okay, one address, thousands of homes. We have a brand new price today on 5725 East 97th Place. This is in Sun Meadow. It is now $239,900. Sabrina, you should sell it. Hillary, you should sell it.
I would like
Either
to
one
sell
of you.
that one. I love that home.
I would like to
love
see
that
you
yard.
fight over selling it. And then
Sabrina, you win.
it's a 4-bedroom, 2 master suites, 1 upstairs, 1 downstairs, large lot. This is like a third of an acre. So Sun Meadow, highly sought after because of its lots and the large trees. And 101st and Sheridan is where it's located. About
It's got 4
2,600.
bedrooms and a master up and a master down.
Correct. There's an option of 2 masters, and that's 1, 2, 3.5 bathrooms, or 3 full bathrooms.
So
2
that could be a
carports.
really good scenario for someone with a mother-in-law.
Yes, if you need
Or
that
an au pair.
flexibility.
You know what an au pair is? That's where you hire somebody to come in and help you take care of your kids. They
It's
live with
French?
you. It's like Alice.
I know what it is. It's
from the Brady
French.
Bunch. Yeah. Is it French?
I thought you
Good.
said a para. But you said
Au
au
pair.
pair, right?
Au pair.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say. Anyway,
It
that
works
could be a
for me.
great scenario for that situation. As well.
Very good. Yes.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, I have another one that's available that would be amazing because it's like 9,500 square feet, and it has a complete separate guest house out by the pool. And they could live there.
Lord,
you don't
turn
even
the
have to
radio
talk
off.
to them. What?
I was just telling my wife to turn the radio off.
Oh, yeah. Well, 700, I think 795 is the price on that one. HomeGuideTulsa.com. One address, thousands of homes. So, stewardship, TTCU, Federal Credit Union. Dan Newberry here. You talk about stewardship, and I think sometimes people just kind of like tune out. It's like, oh, that's not a sexy topic. That's like telling me I need to watch how I spend my money. I want to know ways of how I can just have a whole bunch of free money to spend on credit, and I'll think about the details of how to pay it back later. Isn't that really what our culture's become?
Really, more and more that way. And and really, I was thinking about as we come into the really hot season for buying houses, right? I mean, we are really right in the thick of it the next few months, and what we've seen happening with our own at the credit union with our members that are out approving loans, or we get a pre-approved for a loan. They come in, they apply, they get approved for a loan amount. Then they go out and they're coming back and they're saying we want to borrow $100,000 more, we want to borrow $150,000 more, and they can't really qualify for that, right? And still be able to pay their bills and be able to not be house rich and be able to live their lives, right? And so I think it's really important when we're talking about building a budget and thinking about what it is you're going to do with your life, and you're going to buy a house, and you should buy a house right now. Rates are really low. This is a great time to buy it because there's been some really good market deals out there, but there's a bracket of homes out there that are pretty hard to find homes for, right? Less than $200,000, it's hard to find. They move pretty quick in the marketplace.
Right, right.
But just because you're in that buying area doesn't mean you should stretch your budget to buy something more than what you can really afford, right? You should really think about, how do I want to live my life? What do I want to do? Do I want to be able to go on vacation with my kids, right? Do I want to be able? What happens if we have a flood, and all of a sudden I got to buy a new car and it's not covered by flood insurance? I mean, those kinds of things.
Let me define this. The question is, do I want to go on vacation with my kids, or do I want to spend all my money on something else that ties me down so that I can regret not going on a vacation with my kids when I'm too old to travel and go on vacations with my kids, or they're too old and they don't have time for me anymore because they've got their own obligations. I mean, really play that out, because that it's kind of an either or in most cases, and we don't think about that. That's really what should go into these big decisions. And one of the reasons I love your book, by the way. I've only gotten through the beginning of the second chapter because I keep getting interrupted. It's not even a long read, but I'm such a slow reader. I'm hearing it's coming out on Audible.
Coming soon.
The Rich Young Ruler.
Rich Young
and
Ruler.
So there are these two guys, and they grew up poor, and Dad didn't really pass along any information to him. And then there's the grumpy guy that's always misunderstood, that everybody says is mean, and I'm sure we're going to discover that he's not. He's principled. And
well, I don't want to give away all the pieces.
Wait, are you the grumpy guy?
I was going to say the same exact thing.
Am I the grumpy guy?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is this based on you?
That makes me wonder what.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Rich Young Ruler is really a story about these two guys that are sharecroppers at the turn of the century. Grew up as sharecroppers, have always been poor, have grown up poor. That's just what they think their lot in life is. And they decide that they want to do something different. And that really comes back to what we're talking about here. They decide to make a choice to do something different. And life is really about choices, right? We're going to make a good choice today to go buy a house. We may make a bad choice if we buy too much house.
Right.
Right. So let's buy the house.
And buying a house is a good choice.
It's a good choice, right? You're building equity. You're building a
It's made a lot of millionaires.
It has been.
And
More millionaires made in real estate than anywhere else.
But you can use Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and you can see how buying too much house just means you've got more house to fill, more house to pay for utilities, more house that just, it's costing you. It's not generating income for you.
Not generating anything. So the first lesson they learn, they go to this guy and they decide who's the owner of this huge ranch, this huge farm community, and they say, we want to become wealthy. And this guy tests them a little bit, right? He's like, okay, maybe they just want to raise. But really they say, we want to become wealthy, and he starts by teaching them about choices. And when we really boil it down to choices affect everything in our life. It's not just about whether I'm buying too much house, right? It's, am I buying too much car? Should I go out and spend this money on a credit card, or should I not and save my money to buy what it is I need? What is it that we're really talking about doing? Should I maybe beyond that? Maybe the social choices we're making. Everything we do in life is about a choice. If we make good choices, good things are going to happen most of the time. Sometimes events happen that you can't control. But if you make bad choices, they're going to have bad outcomes.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
So when we bring it back to thinking about housing and really about what it is you want to do, having a plan and knowing where it is you want to go help define what your life is, so that when you get to that end stage, you look back across your life, you're not thinking to yourself, man, I had a really nice house with a pool and 50 acres of land that I couldn't afford. But
And I worked my whole life.
I worked my life
for that.
Right. Because you really become a slave to that debt.
Yeah.
Right? And if you try to sell it, depending on what happens in the marketplace, if it's up, if it's down, if it's sideways, you could be in a really, or if there's a flood, you don't have flood insurance, all of a sudden you could be in a real pickle because you weren't really thinking about those things ahead of time. You're living in the immediacy and not thinking about the long-term results.
You talk about this, and it makes me think of biblical lessons in the year of Jubilee, and the 50 years, and all that. And it's just so much that talking about debt and the slavery of debt, how it just holds you down. There are a lot of historical examples that correlate to that we can use as modern advice.
We live in a society that is immediate gratification. I drive down the street, I see the car in the parking lot that I want to have, I go and I buy it, and I don't think about what I'm paying for it, I think about the payment I'm paying a month, right? And we get in this idea that, well, I'll always be able to make that payment. But sometimes it doesn't work that way. You know, in our own story, my own story, we had this very large mortgage company, 4 divisions, $150 million company, 52 employees, and in a matter of months, really a matter of days, that entire market shrunk to nothing, right? And all of a sudden, that company was, you had all this debt, had all
outside
this
of your
debt,
control. It was just what was happening
control.
in the level of government change and financial
right?
markets.
And then we had the Great Recession, right? And so really some of this comes from the experience of walking through that together, but we're really talking about you can't control what's going to happen tomorrow. So you really need to think about what I'm buying and is it really going to help me achieve my goals and my life dreams.
One of the good choices you can make is to apply for your loan at ttcu.com.
Let's get pre-approved. Let's talk about what it is you can qualify for. Let's talk about what it is you want, where you want to be in 5 years. And let's make that dream fit inside those baskets.
ttcu.com or
918-749-8828.
You're listening to the Future of Real Estate, Tulsa source for local real estate news and information. You can catch us online, Facebook Live, TulsaLiveEvents.com, or Facebook Live on the Baskin Real Estate Specialist or Daryl Baskin. I am Daryl Baskin, and I want to say thank you to our sponsors that are making this show possible today: TTCU Federal Credit Union, Integrity Title and Abstract, Window World of Tulsa, and the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. We're going to take a break, come back with Sabrina and Hillary with some really good, timely advice for home buyers and home sellers. Make sure you stay tuned.
Can you cut that segment out, Citizen?
Absolutely.
Well,
Did you like that?
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
She designed the dress, but can she budget for her future?
I'm not ready yet, but I want to be.
Help her get 100% ready.
I live in a 100-year-old home. It's a home I fell in love with, and it has so many amazing features. But the one thing it does not have is straight windows. It has windows that are cracked and broken and worn out. I contacted Window World. They came in and put these brand new, amazing, incredibly beautiful windows into my home. From the outside of the house, they match the exterior perfectly. It looks like they've always been here. Now the windows are the jewels in the home. Window World, from the beginning to the end, they met and exceeded every expectation I had. Window World really is simply the best for less.
From Window World of Tidewater,
we're the Reeds, and for nearly 2 decades
and a few generations,
we've been transforming your houses to dream homes right here in Hampton Roads. Join us for a seamless remodeling experience.
Call for a free estimate.
Floods are driving up traffic, people looking for houses.
not yet. Not that I've seen yet. But I feel like
What area is it
something's
flooding
gonna
the
come.
most?
Anything, by the river, so Bixby.
Like half of Bixby they're planning for it to underwater. Like that 151st Street Bridge, I was there on Thursday, and it was only about 1.5 feet left of the top of that bridge.
Which bridge?
Is it going to?
Going over Memorial.
Is it going higher too? Like,
Well, that was at
this is
that
on
was at
tie.
150,000
You click
cubic
tie
feet per
there.
second. They were releasing. Now they're at
This,
250.
right here moves
And
over.
what they're saying is that it's moving the
Okay,
sand
so if you leave it on tie,
underneath the river.
Oh,
So
so it's making it push up faster, yeah.
One address, thousands of homes, homeguidetulsa.com. How about some commercial property on 171st Street? We have several commercial properties available. Go to homeguidetulsa.com, look for the land. You will see 35 acres on 171st Street at $1.2 million, I believe is the price. We have 7.5 acres in 7.7 acres. It's growing at 141st in Glenpool for $388,000. Comes with a free house on it. Huh, imagine that. HomeGuideTulsa.com. And one other one, 4121 Dogwood Lane in Sepulveda.
This one had a price reduction. It's now, you could have an au pair or a mother-in-law, father-in-law too. This is an amazing house for teenagers, for a family. I love this house, and this pool is amazing.
So you can go out and see that, 4121 Dogwood in Sepulpa. So, who wants to go first? I know what it's going to be. How low can you go? Actually, that's not what you said.
How low you can go. Some music for that. How low can you go?
That was not the actual topic, but I just wrote how low, blah blah blah. I never can read the rest of my stuff. Hillary,
what I would like to.
I thought this had to do with price.
Yeah, let's not say we'll say how low is too low, not how low can you go.
And it's not list price.
Not list price.
So tell us.
So what I'm talking about is when you have. I've had it actually on both sides, being representing the seller or representing the buyer, and someone wants to come and do a lowball offer. And it's just gotten me thinking about how low is too low. Where's the line of being slightly offensive? Because I've been on the side with the seller when they offer, let's say, $30,000 less, which obviously that depends on the price of the home.
And I know which one you're talking about.
Yes, you do. And there was offense that was taken, and everything leading to the point of trying to actually get an offer to happen, everything was sensitive to it because it's frustrating because there's value to it and you're trying to weigh.
Let me interpret, Hillary. What Hillary is saying is when you make the seller angry with such a low offer, sometimes when you actually decide, I really do want the house and I'm willing to pay a fair price now, the seller, in this case, the words out of her mouth were, hell no.
Yeah, precisely.
I'm not selling to these people.
Yes.
And rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
It was a dumb offer that was insulting to her. There was no basis for it in the market. And that is probably, I think, the biggest point of how low is too low.
Exactly.
Shouldn't you have some factual basis for what you're doing if you really want the house in the end?
Exactly. Like,
was that an investor?
No.
No.
Just somebody was going to try to get a really great deal.
Trying to get a great deal.
Yeah.
And that's no problem. Like, yeah, you should go get a great deal, but what are you looking at to just throw a number out? You can't just assume, this is what I'll do and see what happens. Like, what's going on in the market?
But if you're an investor, let's say this.
It's different if you're an investor.
If you're an investor and you don't care where the house is, specifically because your kids aren't going to go to school there or whatever, you're just looking for the right list of criteria to be met, then that's different because you don't care if you get that one or not. But if it's the question for a home buyer is, what happens if you don't get this house? What's your next best choice? Well, unless your next best choice is really good and you're excited about your second choice, you really need to be careful about what you do with the first one. And that's the market right there telling you, based on selection and availability, that it's worth what they're asking.
Exactly. And I think that's a super great point. If this house is, I like it, I'm okay if we don't get it, I can move on, go to the next one, then that's your choice. Do what you want to do, but you do have to consider if you actually want a house and you just want a lowball to see if you can get the good deal. It's easy to say, let's just see what happens, and then we'll end up getting into some sort of counter situation, but that doesn't always
You're
happen.
not negotiating with the machine.
No,
You're
these are real
negotiating with
people.
someone else who has poured their life into that house, who has emotional attachment to that house, even if they are an investor themselves. They're not stupid, and they don't want to be insulted.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
And I think the big takeaway is like just know your basis of why you're doing what you're doing. Be smart about it. Don't just try to go for the good deal just to see what happens. Like it just doesn't work out.
Well, go
in
for the
robot
good deal.
status.
Don't go for the stupid deal.
Right, and that's why you need an agent that can, that shows you around. We always tell people, look at multiple houses, because then when you find that home that you really want, you know the area, you know how fast houses are going, you know if it's something where you need to make your absolute best offer the first time.
But it's not just about finding an agent who does that job for you. It's finding an agent that you actually feel comfortable listening to, because there are a lot of consumers who don't have a relationship of trust with the agent they're working with. They're treating their agent just like a distant clerk who is trying to sell them something, and they don't want to listen. And it's important to have a level of trust where you know that they have your interest at heart, where you've made a commitment to them. This is the importance of using one agent, where that agent knows, hey, if they don't buy this house, they're going to buy another house, and they're going to buy it from me. So I'm going to get paid where they buy house one, 2, or 3, A, B, or C. And it is a relief as a home buyer to know that they're not going to talk me into one thing or another just so they can get paid and feed their family. And that's a level of trust that is like a lifelong realtor relationship, really, that is why we see people going back to the same realtor over and over again. So when you've been treated right, stick with that agent. And that's one of the things that we really preach at the Baskin Real Estate Specialists is long term. 30 years doing this now, and we're now selling houses to grandkids. And that's something that we're really proud of. And we want you to feel that way every time you call our number at the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. Hillary, excellent work. And by the way, 918-258-2600. You can hit Hillary's extension there. The Baskin Real Estate Specialists, 918-258-2600. Assessed value, Sabrina.
Okay, so we know, I have a few minutes. We know there's several different numbers that come up when we're putting a value on our house. We talked about the Zestimate a few weeks ago, but there's also the assessed value, the value that the assessor gives you. So
the taxed value.
Yes, the taxed value. But how does that come up? So the assessment is on the home's current fair cash value, which is what we refer to as the market value. Supposedly.
You might have to dispute it.
You might.
And there's a process for that.
There is. We went through that. We sat with John Wright and we went through that process. But it's supposed to be done for every house in Tulsa County as of January 1st of each year. But they use something called mass assessments. And it's supposed to be, what a buyer will pay and what a seller would sell for, like in a fair market. And everybody at the assessor's office, you ask me questions and it gets me off my notes. But everyone at the assessor's office has to go through this accreditation process, which is huge. And so if you're calling somebody to talk about your assessed value, you can talk to anybody at the assessor's office and they'll know what's going on. Ask me another question. Let's see if I can answer it.
So you mean that's it?
Well, no, but you got me off my notes and on track.
Well, so why is it the assessed value is not necessarily the market value? Because if it's assessed for that, and a buyer says, well, it's assessed for $150,000, but it's listed maybe for $180,000, why shouldn't the buyer come in and offer $150,000? Because that's what it's assessed at.
Right, but the assessed value is not the most accurate value because it's done on that mass system.
Okay, and there you go. You just said it's supposed to be what a buyer, it's supposed to be market value, but it's really not. It
right.
doesn't and can't keep up with that. But once you have a legitimate sale on it, it's almost always going to go to that sale price
Correct.
As its current assessed value, because that is the market. Unless there was something taking place, a family transfer or something that wasn't a legitimate arm's length transaction, then that assessed value could be different. But that's what we call the Welcome to Oklahoma law back when we passed that, I don't know, in the 90s or something. And it was that it's now reassessed every year, and that sale price could be used to create that new assessment.
And I know that our assessor is trying to, they're constantly trying to make things better and better. to where those are more accurate. But when you have that many houses,
this is why you need to
hard.
dispute it. If you can't put it on the market to sell it for the value that you're assessed at, then you need to go down and dispute that. There's a process for that, and they need to hear from you. They actually want to hear from you. It's a very friendly process. Even if they don't agree with you, you can take it to another level and take it to a panel that's outside of the assessor's office. And I've won at that panel before. There have been lots of times I was like, yeah, I'm not going to win because the market data is right in front of me and it says that it's worth what I'm assessed for, so why dispute it? So you have to make that call as a member of the public and a property holder in the county. So
I was just going to add
you
to
took
that.
a deep breath.
Well, I did, yes. I mean, usually when I take a deep breath, everybody thinks I'm going to talk, but I was just taking a deep breath. But really, on top of that, sometimes market conditions in different neighborhoods could be going through renewal. And so, like, we have some property over in West Tulsa where we bought those properties for way, they're very distressed, right? And they came back and they assessed them at these very high levels. We went back in and fought them, and they brought them back down. We've rehabbed them, and then we've resold them now for more money. And so now the assessors in this area of flux, right? Which one's right because of the amount of dilapidated properties versus the amount of good properties. And so there's...
And that's why they need to see pictures.
They
take
need to see
pictures
and take them down there and justify your cause, for sure.
I had one recently that had been assessed for $100,000 more than what it should have been. And a simple conversation and showing some of the data, how we'd had it on the market for a period of time and it didn't sell. We brought it down to a particular price and it did sell. Well, that price was what we got it assessed for because that was the true market value. So interesting stuff and a lot of things to know. If you have a question about that type of thing, you don't have to necessarily be selling your house. We want to earn your business long before you need to buy or sell a house. Give us a call at the Baskin Real Estate Specialist, 918-258-2600. We can guide you to the right person, maybe give you some tips or some information to help you show up with what you need, 918-258-2600, or schedule a phone call online, askinforbaskin.com, ASKINFORBASKIN, that's our online calendar, askinforbaskin.com. You've been watching The Future of Real Estate. You want to catch this again? Catch the podcast on krmg.com under weekend shows. Tim will take care of getting that loaded for us very shortly this afternoon, but you can watch it now.
Let's say happy birthday to Julia.
Live.
No, Julia, Paige.
Oh, your stage name is now Julia.
Hey,
Future of Real Estate.
You can say happy birthday to Julia if you know a Julia.
No.
Just tell her.
Happy birthday, Paige.
Bye.
One of my former students' name was Julia, and she just had her sweet 16.
Was it Julia Page? Hey, say bye to our Facebook friends.
Yeah, 16 yesterday, so that's why Julia's on my mind.